I am going to start with the lettuce, and my lettuce seeds are actually from last year. So what I'm going to do, they're probably still good, but just in case, what I'm going to be doing is putting 2 seeds in each cell. And once they germinate, I'm going to have to come back and just thin one of them. So those cells, there's just enough room for one plant to grow in each cell. I don't want more than one plant. But in order to make sure that I have a plant germinates in each cell, I'm going to put 2 seeds in, since those are last year's seeds. And you can do that anyway, even if you get new seeds, just to make sure that you have plant germinates in each cell. But you don't have to. You can just do 1 seed in each plant, and if you water them and have them, water them correctly, they'll probably germinate. So I'm just taking a couple of seeds, and this is easier to do without gloves, and I'm dropping them into the little cells. I'm gonna probably do a little bit over 1/3 of the tray with lettuce, and then the rest I'll divide between the basil and the spinach. Okay, so now my seeds are in, and I don't know if you can see, you probably can see the spinach over here and the lettuce maybe. The basil in the middle, basil has really tiny black seeds, so it's really hard to see them. What I need to do right now is cover my seeds. So I have a little bit of soil left here, and again I'll just throw it on top and kind of move it around until it covers all of the cells. Okay, that's it. It's all covered. I'll just press it a little bit. And before we place it on the shelf, we're going to have to water it. So that's what I'll be doing next. So again, you better do this outside because it is a little messy, but it's raining outside today. So what I'm doing, I'm just using this is not the best watering can to use. We want something that has a really fine spray coming out of it. Sometimes I even use a spray bottle instead of a watering can, especially when the seeds are little. You don't want to ruin them with the water. But right now, since there's just soil here, then that's just fine. You just move it around and make sure you water the whole tray. If some of the soil moves, you want to kind of put it back where it belongs, and make sure you do the cells on the side too. That's it. Okay, so the next thing we have to do is place the tray under the lights or on the shelving unit, and you don't have to turn on the light until you see the little seeds start to germinate. But I do like to turn on the light right away because I'm not always, I come and check, the seeds are not in my house, they're in this little room on our farm, which is across the road from the house. You want them to have really good light when they just starting to poke out of the soil. So since I'm not necessarily here all day every day, I just like to turn on the light right when I plant them. So I have white fluorescent lights on this shelving unit, and it can go all the way to the bottom if I want, and have another one here. And I can fit 4 trays on each shelf. So another tray will go there, and then another one here, and another one there. Now the lights, you always want them to be about 1 inch from the plants. So right now I have it, I have the chain all the way down, so the lights are very low and very close to the tray. As the plants start to grow, I will raise those lights by moving this little thing up the chain, and this is how they're gonna stay. They're gonna stay about an inch or so, an inch or a couple of inches above the plants. Okay, so now I turned this light on over this tray that we just planted, and this is the whole process. So I'll do all of my trays. If you have one of those shelving units inside your house and your house is heated, then you don't have to do anything special. The only electricity you're really going to use more than usual is for the light. Since this is a room that is separate from my house, I have to have a little radiator here to keep the temperature about 70 degrees for the seeds to germinate and the plants to grow. So I will be keeping the temperature here constantly around 70-75 degrees in this little room. And since I have it especially for seed starting, then I'm going to do all of the seeds that I want at the same time, so I can grow as much as I can for the amount of electricity I'm going to pay for. Now I am growing for a market, so it's a little different. If you just have a home garden, then you can probably just do maybe 2, 3, 4 trays, and that will be enough. When the plants are at the size where it's time to transplant them to the garden, I will start to take them out on this porch that you see here a couple of times. Well, I'll start with a couple of hours every day, and increase the time a little bit, increase the time of them spending outside a little bit at the time to harden them. I also come here once a day or probably once a day, but I will come and water them once every couple of days. Especially if you keep the temperature about 70 degrees, it will dry the soil. So you want to keep the soil damp all the time, kind of moist, not too wet, but definitely moist. Remember, those seedlings have really, really small root systems, so we want everything to be available for them, and we don't want them to spend too much energy on going far away to look for it. So we have the food by adding the worm casting, and if we keep the soil moist, then they'll have just enough water, and they'll go very strong. And you can see the difference between a strong seedling and weak seedling by the width of their stem. If it's really leggy, then it's not a very strong seedling, and it's probably not going to survive transplanting to the garden. If your seedlings have a big thick stem to them, then they're doing really good. So I will harden them for about a week to 2 weeks before I transfer them to the garden, which is right over there. So this tray is done, and I'm gonna move forward to the next one. It takes a little bit of experience. Every kind of seeds you have to do a little different. For example, squash and melons and cucumbers, you'll have to provide them with a bigger cell because they're bigger plants, they grow fast. If you do tomatoes, you'll have to repot them, or you'll have to plant them in a pot where you can kind of pile up soil around the seedling as it grows. There are seeds that you won't start indoors. Root vegetables are not vegetables that you'll start indoors. For example, carrots and you know, beets. Although some people do that too. So there are ways around it, but generally carrots and beets and radishes and stuff like that, you will start straight in the garden. Also peas and beans are not something that people start indoors usually. They do just fine right in the garden. I will link below to the trays and all the products and where I got all of my stuff from. There's also a link below to the post on my website that goes over that in writing, and there's a bunch of pictures there and resources for you that you might like, so make sure to check that as well. And that's it. If you liked this video, please subscribe and click the little bell so YouTube tells you when I post a new video. I'll try to do more of those tutorial kind of things in the future. And make sure to visit me on the website at ladyleeshome.com, and I will see you in the next video.